almost made it.
You almost made it?
Yeah, I almost got.
Holy shnikes, maniacs. We're back, and we got In the Darkness, the Dark Cane, joining us. Holy cow. I don't know what episode number this is because London hasn't updated our YouTube thumbnails in over a month or two. But I'm going to just take a wild swing and say we're at least at $1.50. If not, what? Maybe 175? Yo, Saverings,
Yo.
That sound about right?
Yeah, somewhere in there. You know
we're
what?
We're at a lot.
Yeah, we're at it quite a bit. Like we don't even keep numbers anymore. We don't even keep numbers anymore.
No, we are going to keep numbers because that's what a good podcast does, and that's what we are going to do. Hey,
we're gonna break the mold.
We're not going to break the mold. Like, we're not good enough to break the mold. Yeah, I'm looking at the cards that London made us, and they go around the mid 100s. I see 126, 124, 130. So yeah, we're in the mid 100s.
Nice.
Cool.
But Maniacs, first, big shout out to Flay Artist on Twitter, at Flay Artist. They did the music for our intro, probably the visuals too. I actually have never cleared that up. But you caught us on the 3rd week of March 2022. The mask mandate is up in King County, Seattle, and probably the rest of America. East Asia, maybe not so much, but
they're already rocking them. Plus, I think people here are keeping them.
It would seem that we are out of the worst of it for now.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. And we are Salt Tier Podcast. We are, the world's best video game podcast where your argument is
invalid, usually, most of the time.
Hopefully.
1,000% invalid.
1,000%.
We are brought to you by Voodoo Ranger IPA. Does anybody have any? I have a koozie.
No, I'm drinking lots of vitamin C infused things.
Yeah, you're still coming up. Hold on,
You asked me a little bit late on this one.
Ooh, yeah, I did. I know. And we got to send you something. London, if you could contact Lauren, we need to send Vince, Cuba some beers. That said, they are B Corp certified, employee owned by New Belgium that also makes Fat Tire and the what is it? The Fresca line of like fruity malt liquors? No, that's not malt liquors. They wouldn't do malt liquors.
No, Fresca's like a sparkling water, I thought, right?
Yeah. Oh, they do. No, that's the Fruit Smash. They do Fruit Smash seltzers. Anyway, check it out. Voodoo Ranger IPA. Couple of seasonal hits. Our precious human being Sage Bell is always on the up and up on it, and she's not here.
Yeah.
Therefore, we're up the river without a paddle.
Yep. Paddle.
Enjoy. Paddle. Paddle. Before we get started, make sure that you're already following us on Instagram and Twitter. We are Salt_Tier_Pod. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are Salt Tier Podcast. Twitch is the best time to talk with all of us at 8 p.m. every Monday, unless we say we don't have an episode, which happens
in real time.
In real time, and maybe we'll give you a 20-minute heads up to join the episode. And we're gonna go in the order of people that were 100% prepared for this. I'm Lucky Bandit, otherwise known as @Loudon_Brown. If you want to catch me on Steam or PlayStation, I am Gross Steph with a PH. I played some Guilty Gear. I swear that's literally all I've done. I got a new addiction that is somewhat video game related. I will get into it soon, but I'm gonna go hit it off to the grown-ass man on my right, left.
Howdy. This is the Saverings. 30 seconds. Any 30-second brief talk on this podcast where I can speak and I don't cough in your ear. That's a good sign because I have been sick for going on the last 2 weeks now. I'm pretty sure I had a very mild case of walking pneumonia, very mild. But so yeah, I'm just glad to be here, glad to be seen, glad to have the energy and not to have coughed through this whole thing. And before I press my luck, I will just push it down to I I would say our guest, but I mean, come on. At this point, he's like one of those like officially the next guy
family.
up. Yeah. He's off the bench. You know, we called him up from the farm league as usual, where he was working on his craft, and now here he is.
He's a pitch hitter.
Rance. Yeah, you got Vince Rance, aka
Did I say that right? Is that a sports term? Pitch hitter.
Yes, you did. You used that correctly. Yep,
that is very correct.
You sports ball correctly.
Yo, Vince here. I go by Darkane. I know sometimes we talk about games that we play, so I decided to set up a little toy behind me here.
Tell him what you got.
Well, first off, it's funny because Mr. Loudenbrown over here knows what I was doing a half hour ago when he was texting me. I was in the middle of a game, so I just sent him a picture of me being dead in Overwatch. So yeah, I still play that. No, what I picked up recently is called a Mister, and it's we got like software emulation and shit for games.
Mm-hmm.
This is instead of emulating the software of a game, this is more of like emulating the actual physical hardware, reproducing the hardware on a virtual circuit board.
Nice.
So I've heard of like the analog consoles, like the Analog Pocket or the NT Mini or the Super NT, the Mega SG, things like that. Like they reproduce the hardware in hardware rather than software. And right now I got it running the Puzzle Fighter Arcade. And the cool thing about that, it's zero latency. And so you can play light gun games on CRTs and it works, which you can't do that with emulators.
And
so,
also,
I mean, it is cycle perfect. This thing is perfect.
A fun fact, you said that was Puzzle Fighter. I actually am in the credits for that game on the PSP.
Well, this is the arcade one. It's a little bit older than that, so
yeah.
Sorry.
But the PSP version, I'm actually in the credits for that.
I'm gonna go pick that up now.
Nice.
I do want to have that in my collection eventually.
Great game.
So maniacs that are under 30, I will sure that you're noticing behind Darkane, it looks like a ribbon of light is going up on the screen.
Yup.
And Darkane, do you want to explain to the Zoomers and young millennials why that is?
This
and also why classic film movies are so interesting that have TVs in the shot.
Yep. So this is a CRT. If you're a Smash player, you know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
So back before we had our super awesome fancy flat panels, we had to use what's called a cathode ray tube or a CRT, where it's literally like it's an electron gun. It's literally like shooting electrons from the back of the unit to the screen, 1 pixel at a time, and it draws across, left to right, each row. And the thing is that only at any given time 1 pixel is lit. But the way your brain processes it, it kind of has like that persistence of vision thing. Kind of like, if you wave your hand fast, you can kind of see the trail of it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Motion blur.
Yeah, kids, you kids remember Tron? Even in the new Tron, when they get zapped into the machine, it goes, it scans them like in sections.
Yeah,
but kind of how it works.
So what we're seeing there is that my camera and that screen are not perfectly in sync. So every couple of frames, like it's drawing and it captures it, but it captures only like half the screen and not the other half. And so you can see the darker part of where like it's kind of
it's writing
earlier.
It in live time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you grew up in 80s or 90s and you saw like news reports and it would show like an electronics store or like a newsroom with all the screens, that's all you would see is like going up all the screens.
So, for example, in modern cinema of the 80s and 90s, if there was a CRT in the shot, it had to be replaced.
There we go.
Yeah. Wow.
If I change the exposure on my camera, you can actually really, really see it there.
And that's what's actually happening. That's so bananas. So, yeah, look, and now it might drive you crazy if you look at classic TV and movies, because you'll see. And they will either have I've seen like wheat pasted paper over the screen of a computer so that they don't have to edit it, especially on TV shows because they can't afford that. Or you'll see a lot of TVs that are just off, always off, because they can't edit it.
The high budget stuff, there's actually a way to synchronize the TV refresh to the camera shutter. That's expensive as hell to do. I've played with a little bit, but that's how the high-end pros did it too.
Goodness. And then now that we're on you, what have you been playing, Darkane? What the hell?
Well, that's literally that. So what we were just talking about.
Puzzle Fighter, who's your main?
Funny enough, like I actually prefer playing it on the 360 with everything unlocked, and I play Dan.
Okay. Nice.
I don't.
I mean, if you-
I don't have
that
people
was
to
a
play against.
that
If
was a
you're
solid
good
If
enough-
wager.
human, if
Yeah.
I have a human I'm playing against, I won't play Dan. If I'm playing
Yeah.
against the AI, I'll pick Dan, hardest difficulty, and just wipe the floor with it.
because that's how you test your skill, right?
Oh,
But when you play against people, like I'm a
random.
Sakura main.
Yeah, I don't really have a man. I just pick whoever. I don't care that much about drop patterns.
I do because I drop a lot often, and the easiest way to explain Puzzle Fighter to the maniacs that are watching right now, Ken and Ryu, right? Ken and Ryu, one goes in columns and one goes in flats. If you go in flats, it only makes sense for you to attack in big chunks. If you go in columns, it only makes sense for you to drop in little chunks. Because if you drop big, if you go the opposite way, like if you drop in columns really long, it'll go tick, 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 and you'll set off all of these gem chains. Whereas if you keep dropping flats in little combos, all you're dropping is red the entire time, and you're feeding the opponent. Whereas it's the opposite. If you just drop little by little in columns, you get 2 or 3 of a different color every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Or if you drop 8 flats at a time, they can't link any of that because none of it connects with a color. And that's the easiest way to understand this game.
Yeah.
Sakura has a little bit of both.
And then if you pick Dan, like I said, he only drops reds.
It's only red. Maniacs.
Only red.
If you don't know this, he only drops red. And the banned characters for tournament are the witch, I forget her name, and Akuma, who have no pattern to their drops, and you can't use it as offense, and it's completely unfair. What about you, Saverings ? Do you remember playing this game and which character you like the most?
He worked on it apparently.
Yeah, I play tested it. I play tested the localization version of it for the Sony PSP. You guys remember the PSP? The development kits for those are real interesting because the actual unit that you would think of a PSP, it was just a little empty, like little ghost. All I had was a screen and the button inputs, and it was tethered to the development box, which was about the size of like a decent sized VCR standing upright, about the size of like a PS4 standing upright, I guess now.
So a dev unit.
Yeah, it kind of looked like an APC. Yeah, but it was funny because I remember like, oh, that's how they do it. I guess it's not like in this little unit. And it had a little little UMD drive in it, and it also had like a CD-ROM drive in it, so you could like put builds or flash the firmware and stuff in there. But yeah, that was my second ever software gig, and I worked on a couple things, but that was one thing that I worked on.
I said the Nintendo dev units for the handhelds are all the same way too.
Yeah, where like it's all the machinery and the main parts of it are in a box and it's tethered to a little handheld.
And the handheld is just an empty shell with a screen and buttons, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. So yeah, I definitely worked on that. But I didn't really like develop any strategies and stuff for it because it was kind of for just a job, and it was like one of a couple projects I was working on. So I was just kind of like going through my little section, which was like linking up for multiplayer. Like I had to make sure that you could connect and make sure that was smooth and it was hitting all the development check boxes on the way. So that's pretty much what I did on it and kind of like goofed around on it a little bit for fun, but I didn't really go too far into it.
Well, cool beans, y'all. Now that we're 16 whole minutes into the freaking episode,
yes,
we are jumping on it, and we're starting with Michigan's very own.
Okay.
Oh, well, Fortnite news, really?
Yeah, right. but it's kind of crazy though.
Okay, London with a Y. If you could queue up column 3, we got Fortnite news. I'm sure the kiddies of the household are gonna appreciate it.
This is actually how I found out about it, and it's also strange too that Fortnite chooses to do major updates like on a Saturday night. Like most places will update like on a Monday night or a Tuesday night.
Yeah, word.
I don't know why Epic decides to do it on a Monday night.
Oh, we're loading.
But basically, what had happened was.
What had happened?
There was an update, and my kids play like 10 feet away from me, so I can hear them and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, there's an update for Fortnite." And this time, it actually went through in a reasonable time. Last time, they were locked out for like a day. So they log in, and I hear them, and they're playing, and they're like, "Wait, what? Hey, I can't build anything. Hey, what? I can't build anything." So in the newest update, by default, they took the building elements out of Fortnite.
Isn't that like
What? That
90%
was
of the game?
Yes, that was the game before it had a battle royale mode. The whole game itself is built on building. So in the latest update, they took it out. So now it's just like a goofy PUBG, more or less.
But
That's
that's the
it?
battle
Really?
royale mode. There are other modes in Fortnite.
Yes, but the mode like 99.9% of people play and own the game for, and
Oh,
it's free.
incoming!
Oh, here we go.
Whoa!
Here we go.
We got the super producer.
Yeah, what's going on?
So they took out builds, but it's coming back. It's just a temporary removal, and I think it was partly due to a lot of the fan base saying that they wanted it out for a little while. So
Why don't they just add a mode or just have a checkbox so you can turn it off and turn it back
This way
on
they
again?
get more data. They're gonna learn so
no,
much
it's
from
not even a
having
data
the
thing.
whole-
It's just so they don't want to fracture the fan base that much, right? Like so some people can play with build and some people aren't. You're gonna see a pretty dramatic schism in the player bases because it really is like a seriously divisive topic.
Definitely, and I got to hear an earful of it all weekend from the kids. So, what are your thoughts on it there?
As somebody who can actually aim, I'm fine with it.
Okay, but
Sick
don't you feel
burn.
that's like an
Sick
actual
burn.
major part of the game? It'd be like taking out the career mode in a racing game or something like. It's like a major part of the game. It's like what the
No,
game's built on.
I mean it was, but like the major part of the game's become the battle royale part, right? Like nobody ever plays Save the World. Nobody gives a shit about that.
No.
And the build stuff is cool, but they added a couple of things in to make up for it because like
I heard there's tanks now that can like almost one
well,
shot.
no,
you,
they've
right?
had tanks before, but the thing that they did is that last season they added sliding, so it's like a little bit faster of a thing downhill, and they added sprinting in the new one because like one of the things the building was really useful for is if you get caught in the storm and you're stuck like way the hell out there, you can run in a straight line and just build over anything in your way. Like so you can run up cliffs and stuff, but now you can't. So
those of you that are familiar with it, with the shooting franchise as a whole, who brought on sliding first? Because now Halo Infinite has it, and
basically most shooters
and
work.
COD got it from somebody. I don't trust Activision Blizzard at all. I know they stole it from somebody. Who had the slide on an FPS first?
I want to say the game that probably put it into the forefront in recent times was what's that game by Platinum Games? Not Vanguard, but the one
It
where
wasn't
you're
Titanfall, was it?
Titanfall also very much popularized.
Titanfall was pretty early. Or wait,
it was before
Titanfall,
this though.
No. Who came up with wall running? Was that Fear?
That was the
Wall
Matrix.
No, Fear.
no,
Fear had
wall
wall
running.
running, and they had sliding too, right?
Prince
No.
of Persia was the
As
one
an
that
FPS,
Yeah,
though,
that's
as
true.
an FPS.
We
No.
had wall running in Quake 2 as a mod. It is that old.
Yeah,
Okay, but who brought the slide into FPS
I want
specifically?
to say it's like
Because we
game by
had slides in Mega Man X.
Yeah, I want to say it was I forgot the name of the game. It's by Platinum Games. Let me look it up. But that Vanquish, that's what it is. It's like a third.
Vanquish.
Yeah, Vanquish by Platinum Games. It's a third-person shooter, very, very shooter, very, very action-heavy. But you could pretty much slide for infinity in that game because you're wearing like this like mech suit, and part of the game was
Okay.
part of the game's thing was like its mobility, and that was a major mechanic. Was you could literally slide all across the whole stage while you're shooting and everything.
Yeah, well, a lot of these mechanics came from mods before they were actual full games. I mean, and not just in the FPS world. I mean, look at League of Legends. It was literally a mod before it was a game. Not
That
League,
is true.
Dota.
Dota.
That's right.
Yeah.
anyway.
So
I wonder. Look it
So-
up, Maniacs. Everybody that's listening, if you could hit up our Twitter, or if you look up this YouTube video afterwards, just throw it in the comments because we'd love to know, and we don't want to do the research because London is not going to care.
Well, here's what's going to be interesting about the build stuff and how it comes back is that apparently what they're doing is there's a mechanic in there where you got to complete a bunch of quests to get rebuilding back.
Whoa! Or
so it's
you
like a
can
big meta
buy.
thing.
I bet you can buy the privilege to build.
No, you can't. You got apparently you have to complete the quest. So I don't know if it comes back for everybody at once or if it comes back as soon as you get the questing done.
I think
Why
it's
wouldn't
it's,
they put a
it's-
paywall there though? That's just
Because they make enough money off emotes that they steal from TikTokers.
okay.
that's
That's
true.
true.
That's true. So yeah, it's probably like some big meta community quest that you have to complete, and once it hits that, they'll bring it back. It's probably how they'll do it, just to get people into the game and get them to try it without the building in it. But still, like I had to point that out because I don't know. As somebody who's not totally into that and has an attention span more than like 4 seconds, that kind of stuck out to me. And my kids do not like it at all. They were not feeling it at all, and they play a lot of that game. So yeah, that was it.
I mean, but for real, fuck all those sweaty builders.
Before we move on to the next one, Keith and Boogie, I had something to share here. This was just a little bit of a. Oops, hang on a sec. This was just a little bit of a blast from the past here. I just noticed it today.
I know we got the old heads in the podcast, so this is gonna be kind of fun.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, oh, did you say blast from the past?
So 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
5 years ago today, our own Loud and Brown made this very thumbnail for a podcast. We were probably like on episode like I don't know, like 30 or something at this point. Yeah. So he says you can't lose an Overwatch if you throw your copy in the trash.
That's very, very true.
How many hundreds of hours later in Overwatch are we?
I don't know how many hundreds.
Thousands.
Not thousands, that's for sure. I mean,
me?
don't get me wrong. I like the game, but I'll look on my PlayStation, see how many hours. It's hilarious compared to Street Fighter or Tekken or any other
you're
fighter.
more of a fighter. I'm an FPS guy, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this still holds true. I
mean,
can't
it
lose.
is.
I can't lose at Dragon Ball Z if I never bought the game.
I know,
So,
but
I mean,
but I just popped up right before I launched the Facebook a stream of our podcast, and I saw that 5 years ago today. So
yep.
I had to mark that.
And I will always be snarky about that because you know me, I don't like the popular game. That's why I didn't jump on the Dragon Ball Z Fighters bandwagon. That's why I didn't buy Valorant. I like a game to clear the air, and if the game was actually good, it would last more than 6 months.
Don't buy Valorant because that's straight Tencent.
And look, it's already getting quiet. Yes, there's still a big fan base, but is it King of the Castle? By no means.
No.
That said, Overwatch is kind of. It depends how fast we can get Bobby Kotick out of the house. I really do think that's a linchpin that's keeping people like me away from the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When he's gone, because the new guy in charge looks like he really does give a shit and he's super transparent.
Who's that? Are you talking about Phil Spencer?
Words, Vince Rants? Wait, no, but that's a topic for later. We'll get to that. We have topics.
Yes.
We have topics. Moving on. We're talking about Eladon Wrong.
Yeah, so this is you guys a little small game that came out here. It'll be a month on Thursday.
A tiny indie. There was Snake, there was Flappy Wings, and now there's Elden Rings.
Yes. So Elden Ring, the newest game from Software. It kind of came out and kind of blew up, to say the least, especially for a Squaresoft game. This is from what, last week. Sold 12 million copies in the first 3 weeks it was out. To put that into context, that's more than the entire Dark Souls series has sold. All of them.
Wow.
On all platforms. As a total, those have sold about 8 to 9 million games. So Elden Ring has outsold all Dark Souls games by a couple million. It just shows that
collabs matter. It wasn't, you got to realize this wasn't just a Dark Souls game. This was Dark Souls X, just like our banner right now. X J.R. Martin. I mean, yeah.
To be honest with you, that's yes, you're right. That probably did account for a pretty good number of these sales, but it doesn't really affect the game.
It doesn't, but it adds a sense of narrative to it, and some people kind of want a really cool story, and knowing that someone like Martin is at the helm, it brought some outsiders in. Kind of like I would never buy a pair of sneakers from J. Crew, but when they did a collab with New Balance, I go, hey, okay, let me see what's going on here. Yeah. And it's that whole idea of collaboration is to bring in outliers, and this one just doubled down, baby.
Yeah. So just having played the game, much more word of mouth, because there's a lot of people that normally wouldn't touch a game like this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them bought the game outright. Yeah, and a lot of them bought the game outright, and then they told their friends like, "Hey, you should play that." Oh, isn't it a Souls game? Yes, it is, but you should buy it because I'm playing it. We can play co-op, and they also made it much simpler to co-op and to PvP in this version. And
I heard it's not that it's easy, but
they removed a bunch of steps.
The learning curve isn't as steep. Like it's more accessible, I think, is the right word.
The learning
It's not
curve is
easier, it's more accessible. Because
eh,
there's still, I got like not pro gamers, but people that make it a point to play difficult games like Guilty Gear and Counter-Strike. We're
well,
talking about Von Shady, we're talking about our buddy Momar that are playing Elden Rings right now,
uh-huh.
and they still hit some pretty tough points,
Yes.
but they say the beginning game, the early, not the end game, but the early game is way more accessible
That
than the other games.
that word's become worthless nowadays.
Sure it is.
I wouldn't say it's accessible. It's accessible. They give you more options, but for you to even realize that those options are there, you still have to get good. Like you could summon spirits to help you fight. It's easier to call in your friends to help you and tag team on stuff. The enemies get harder, but it's easier to bring your friends in the first place. You still have to pay the same amount of attention and still have to look at the same things that you would have done in any Bloodborne game, any Dark Souls game. It's just that those tools actually exist now. So it's not more accessible. I would say they give you more options, but you still have to look for those options. You still have to know what you're looking for.
Okay.
But like once you do, then you're like, okay, well, instead of me having to go off and kill myself against this boss 30 times, I can go find these spirits over here. I can summon them, and then I can go fight the boss. And even if they don't do a lot of damage, they're a good distraction. I can get a few hits in, and that could be the difference between me fighting this thing 20 times and losing, and fighting it 10 times and getting it on the 10th time.
So if we're talking about
stuff like
difficulty,
that.
if we're talking about
No.
difficulty,
No, that's not difficulty because you'll still get creamed if you don't know what you're doing or how to pick up on a pattern or
okay.
other things. So
I don't have a point of reference, so I'm going to trust your judgment.
they give you more tools.
Vince Rants, do you agree with the statement?
I'm out of this one. These are games I usually don't play. My only knowledge really comes from watching them. A game's done quick, and those guys they just blast through it in like 2 hits every boss. So whatever.
Yeah, this game already got speed run like a week ago. One guy beat it in 36 minutes, and he kept getting it down. He got it in 57 minutes, 48 minutes, and then 36 minutes. A lot of the exploits he did got patched out, and I haven't seen an update yet. I'm sure they're working on it. But yeah, it already got speed run and already got beat in 36 minutes a week ago.
36 minutes?
Yeah.
And what is
Gotta watch GDQ, that's normal.
What's an average play time of actually playing the game? It's not like an JRPG, right? Like you can beat this in under 40 hours, right?
I would say on average, most people, that's those 12 million copies. Yes, you got your hardcores that already beat it. Probably took them, I don't know, 20, 40, 60 hours, somewhere in there. But then your average player.
Those are big jumps, but go ahead.
It would depend. It depends on how hardcore they are. Depends on if they're good at parrying. Depends on if this is their first game or not, or if they're rusty or whatever. But some people, yeah, they could just run through and beat it 20, 30, 40. It would depend on how good that person was because there's varying degrees. But your average sweaty, your average person who's buying this as their first game, 150, 200 hours.
Whoa,
buddy.
And someone speedruns it in under an hour?
Yeah, because you can just beeline it. It's just like Breath of the Wild. You can literally run and fight Ganon the second you come off the plateau.
Yep.
Or you can go do all the things in the game, and then it could take 80, 100, 200
I guess
hours.
It depends on the game because you literally cannot speedrun Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake or.
But that was a GDQ.
Yeah, you can do. And plus, the thing with those aren't open world either. These games, it's like you don't have to.
That's right. Yeah, those are very linear. I understand now. Okay. Well,
there's always ways to break games and walk through walls and other stuff like that too, though. It's like a lot of speedrunning is not playing the game 100% legit. There's usually glitches and stuff involved when they're getting those kinds of speeds.
So you'll do a thing and you'll run off a cliff, and when you die, it teleports you like past this, and you can just go run over there and do this and do that.
Yeah.
Yes, but this said,
and you can also beat the game at level 1 as well.
All right, but hey, it looks like not everybody loves this game. What Western devs hate on it?
Oh, so this was like maybe like the first.
Oh yeah, London. Sorry, this is row 5.
So maybe the first week this game was out, some developers, one in particular, kind of started this thread. It's Ahmad Salama. Apologies if I butchered his name. But
did
this guy.
Did I say the wrong aisle? No, I did. Row 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So basically, what happened was this guy tweeted. If you scroll down the page a little bit, you can see this first tweet. The fact that Elden Ring scored a 97 on Metacritic is proof that reviewers don't give a flaming poop about game UX. That's game experience. My life is a lie. So basically, he's saying, "Oh, like the UI on here is crap. So because other people like it, that my life is a lie. Like everything I strive for and excellence in games, my life is a lie." We'll rewind it back. The game that this guy previously worked on, Battlefield 2042.
Hey, you mean your favorite game of all time?
The competitive shooter with the notoriously horrible AI that didn't have a scoreboard in it in a competitive game. It just got it in the last patch, and you can't access it at the end of a match. You can only access it during the match. When do 99.9% of people check the scoreboard? At the end of the freaking match. So now he's working for guess who?
Right.
Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
Ooh.
Mhm. So he went from that to the place that farts out open world generic formulaic games. It's fine you like them, but they are kind of formulaic. When you pick up an Assassin's Creed, you know exactly what you're doing.
It's an
Just-
Assassin's Creed, you know.
Yeah, the Watch Dogs games. Even though those have you like
I gotta
unique
watch
spins
that
and stuff.
movie.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
I haven't watched that yet.
me neither.
You
We're
know,
bad gamers.
even though Watch Dogs, I will give them credit, it does have a unique spin on the open world game, at least as far as like the genre and the setting and stuff. It's still follow the little mark mappers, little map markers, and it's an Ubisoft game. You can look at a game and okay, that's an Ubisoft game. So he says the user experience is generally awful. Nothing about this feels intentional or play tested. He also said something like it seems like the developer sat in front of a CRTV monitor, chain smoking cigarettes when they developed it. Like that's not very gracious of you. And also this other thing is a lot of the developers, Battlefield, EA, a lot of these places, they hand out bonuses to the developers based on Metacritic review scores. When Battlefield 2042 came
Metacritic.
out,
That's what they use now?
yeah, a lot of places
Eat
do.
shit.
Ooh.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
just critical reviews in general. So Battlefield 2042, it's pretty obvious none of them got bonuses. And now he's working for Ubisoft.
Hold on. I got my salt shaker here.
Yeah, it's pretty salty. So he was co-signed on this by Rebecca Fernandez O'Shea. She says nor PC graphics stability performance or nor PC graphics or stability and performance apparently, which is fair because across all platforms there were stutters, there were hiccups and stuff. It wasn't quite as pronounced on the consoles, but it was still there because of the way that they do their rendering and their checkerboarding, and it's all kind of baked in. You don't notice it as much. It's still there though, because I have a friend that has 140 hours on the PS5 right now, and I watch him play through a lot of that, and it still does do the same stuttering, but because of like the checker, like how they do their upscaling and little proprietary stuff, it kind of smooths it over. But if you know it's there, you know it's there, and it's still there. I had it on the PC. I have it on the PC. I haven't played it too much. I'm only about 25 hours in, I think. And yes, there are PC issues. Yes, stuff does act wonky on there. Like for some reason, it doesn't want to play out on my soundbar.
Okay.
It's the only thing. It's the only game I own that doesn't want to play it on my soundbar. And one time it messed up and it started to play, and then it was like, "Oops, we don't work on the soundbar." That's right, and it just stopped coming out of the soundbar. So I don't know why it does that.
Does the game output like Dolby Atmos or anything like that? Is this something that new?
Here's the thing: when I first bought it, it was fine. I played the first 15 hours out of my soundbar. Turned it on one day, doesn't want to play out the soundbar.
Was there, like I said, was there a patch? Like, did they change the audio output? Because that could be it.
No, this wasn't during a patch or anything like that. And then, like I said, I fired it up maybe about a week ago. It started to play out of the soundbar and then stopped. So I don't know what's going on with that. Like
Maybe
I said,
you need to patch your soundbar. Get some DLC for that.
everything else works fine. It's just that game. And there are performance hiccups. For instance, if I fired this up right now, it would take it about 5 minutes to hit 60 FPS. It would bounce in between like 40 and 55, and then after 5 minutes, it just goes boop, and it's at 60. Just decides it wants to do that. And I'm playing on a 3080, so my car's no slouch, and it does that.
Yeah, I got a 3080 too.
So this other gentleman, Horizon Forbidden Blake says Norquest Design really. These two people, Rebecca, works for Guerrilla Games.
Oh, wait, what chat is that on?
This is still in the same article if you scroll down here.
Oh, the article. I'm sorry. I thought it was in one of our chats. I was going to say, hey, man, I'm looking at our Twitch and YouTube, and it's a little quiet. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Rebecca here says nor PC graphics stability and performance apparently, and Horizon Forbidden Blake. I wonder who he works for. This says Norquest Design really. These two people both work for. She works for Ubisoft, I believe, and he works for Guerrilla Games, the company that made Horizon Forbidden West, which totally got buried in the release of Elden Ring after this. Still sold well. People still love it. Generally love it. but it kind of got trampled. It's kind of got what I call Titanfall. You guys remember
Yeah,
the first
Titanfall should have
Titanfall?
been a bigger game. God
Yeah.
dang it.
It won a lot of awards and stuff.
Especially Titanfall 2.
Titanfall 2 actually did because they were smart and they didn't release it a week before a Battlefield game. With the first Horizon, they released it a week before Breath of the Wild, and now with Horizon Forbidden West, they released it a week before Elden Ring. So they need to talk to whoever's in charge of releases over there and maybe put it a week after, maybe a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
I'm
sure you've noticed fighting games have been quiet since King of Fighters release because no one's trying to mess with that. It is popular right now.
Nice. So basically, these takes went over about as well as you would expect they would on Twitter. They pretty much got flamed, and rightfully so, because it's just not classy. If you don't, it's fine to have your opinions, stuff like that. But when you're a developer that works specifically on open world games that don't necessarily have the best track record or the best results in the last few years, you should probably like temper what you're saying a little bit. If unless this was their intention or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I had to point that out because it's
All
bad
right.
form, not very professional.
And on a flip side of bad form, we got some good form with the Windows Steam Deck. Let's freaking go!
Heck yeah!
So, when the Steam Deck was first announced, Valve was very adamant about making sure that you knew it was a PC. Runs on Zen 2, AMD's. It's not current, but it's still very up to date. It's still very state of the art platform. It runs on RDNA 2, which is what you could find in the newer Xboxes and what you find in the PlayStation 5. That's the graphical part of it. And it's LX86, which is also the platform for computing, not to go too deeply into it, but it is a PC. And they stated, hey, you can put whatever other operating system on here that you want. I'm surprised I haven't seen a Mac OS on here, but I'm sure somebody's working on that.
There's reasons you're not going to see that.
Yeah, just like Nintendo pulling down games when people were emulating games on YouTube videos. They were emulating Switch games on the Steam Deck, so Nintendo was quick to try to pull those down. It's probably for the same reasons Apple would do.
No, like Apple, it's actually a technological reason. Like it probably wouldn't work.
Maybe, yeah, probably. But I'm saying it's the internet. Somebody somewhere is going to get it to work, barely. So basically, what happened is there was no video drivers for Windows for the Steam Deck, which kind of prevented people from doing it previously. But Valve released a link to a graphics driver that would work on Windows. So people have been doing it. And while you do get the benefits of Windows, meaning you can play all of your multiplayer games, because the problem with the Steam Deck is because it runs on Steam OS, which is a kernel of Linux, a spinoff of Linux. A lot of the games that have anti-cheat software won't let you play online because you're not playing it on a supported OS.
Oh, I see.
For instance,
a lot of that's been fixed now, though.
A lot of it, but not all of it. Apex will work now, and you won't get banned. But Destiny 2, Bungie flat out said if you try to play it on your Steam Deck, you'll get banned. This is Fortnite and some other ones where you can do that. But I'm sure as time goes on, maybe somebody will figure it out. But if you install Windows, it's Windows and all that stuff supported. You can do it anyway. It's still not the most ideal thing. In a lot of cases, you're looking at losses to performance versus running it on Steam OS. So you can do it. It does work. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. Like it doesn't natively recognize your controller. You have to do something to set it up to recognize the controller on the Steam Deck. Unless you're playing it in Steam, then you can just.
But if I remember correctly, during our week of what's the term I'm looking for when we're not present?
An off week?
Nah, there's a better word for that. Anyway.
Our hiatus?
Our hiatus last week. V-Dash sent me some links of people playing very prominent games, no problem, on a Steam Deck. Mm-hmm. So that's it looks pretty strong.
Including Elden Ring. Yeah, it gets very good performance.
Thank you, London.
For something that's that small. Yes.
We appreciate you.
Have not received my email yet. I realistically won't get it until probably at least another 2 weeks. I'm
still a couple months out.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah. They pushed back everybody's order.
Yeah.
Because wasn't yours supposed to be last month?
Wait, are they not made in America?
Doesn't matter. Chip shortages worldwide.
Yeah, and shipping, I guess, is still backed up and still getting caught up as well.
I got words to say about that, but we'll save that for next podcast because we only got 20 minutes left.
Yeah. So basically, it's a glorious mess. If you own, if you're lucky enough to have a Steam Deck, if you have one on the way, if you're going to eventually get one, I'm sure by the time you eventually get one, there will be better support. There will be more drivers and stuff. I have a feeling that Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox Game Studios, who has a lot of pull at Microsoft because he's making them a lot of money and getting them a lot of good free will, or goodwill. I'm sure someplace he's like, hey, can we just slide these in so when people install and they run updates, it'd be like, oh, you're on a Steam Deck, because to Microsoft, this thing's a boon. This is a free Windows Game Pass machine for them. This is a free Windows license for them. So I'm sure someplace he's got the CEO's ear, he's got the VP's ear. So I'm sure someplace they're gonna start sliding that in. So in the next couple of months, it should be a much better experience installing Windows on your Steam Deck, which is probably about the time I'll get mine. Probably about the time Vince will get his. So we'll see and go from there.
The one thing with the Steam Deck, I've been watching videos online though, is that yeah, it's keyboard emulation. It has the gamepad, it has mouse emulation, all that stuff. The problem is games on PC, regardless of which OS it is, still really, really suck for user input compared to consoles. Because on console, it's like, oh, it's an Xbox. It's built for an Xbox controller. It's a PlayStation. It's built for a PlayStation controller.
And on top
PC,
of that,
on PC, you have like 50 keyboards and mice and gamepads, and developers just use whatever.
Yeah,
and it's all over the place. And it's a mess.
Yeah, and it could be any keyboard, it could be any mouse. Versus on like you said, on a console, it's one OS, it's one set of hardware, and it's everybody's using controller. Nobody's really using a keyboard or mouse.
So the thing is that like even though like Microsoft and Valve and whatnot, they're working on fixing certain things, the games themselves are still piles of shit. And they really, really need to work on that. And the one company I'm going to call out, yes and no, is Square right now. Yeah, right now it's just going to be Square.
Yes.
Specifically because like I bought the Pixel remaster and I've bought other games and everything like that, and all of their games are actually explicitly listed as no gamepad support, even though they do work.
Square Enix, this could be a whole podcast, but Square Enix is like the most hit or miss company. They can either drop classic dimes, or they can just drop the biggest pile of shit. Like, and
you're right.
You're absolutely right. The Pixel remasters are flawless. I love them, and they do support gamepads. Like, if you switch from a keyboard to gamepad, all the UI in the game changes, just like all modern games do. Like, they did it right. But they still have it flagged as no gamepad support in Steam itself.
Dude,
Steam throws a warning every time you launch the game.
Yeah, dude. Look at Final Fantasy 12 port's still garbage. I've been waiting since the PS2 to play that competently on a PC. It's 2022 and it's still garbage. But look at Final Fantasy 14. That was the gaming story last year. They just released their expansion. I've been doing the last week. I've been watching people's reactions of beating that game because the ending is so good. And I know it wrecked me, and I had such a good experience with it. I've been watching other people, and it hits me just as hard watching them do it. And like that's Square Enix. Dragon Quest 11, that's Square Enix.
Yep.
Which is amazing game. Octopath Traveler, amazing game. But then you have Outriders, and then you have Marvel's Avengers. Like that's the same Square Enix. It's so weird.
It's like there's two different squares.
Yeah, there is. It's totally two different squares.
There's square and circle.
Yeah. Yeah, what's that New Year's letter that the president wrote where he said they're gonna double down on NFTs and all that crap, and they got roasted for it. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What Square Enix? Like you over here, you're killing it. You can see what's working, and over here, you just do the opposite. It's so weird.
Yep.
Okay, well, Maniacs. This is the part where I think this is a good time for a break. Also, Maniacs that are here with me, I'm going to give you a countdown. We need a little screenshot because we haven't done a thumbnail in a while. Is everybody ready?
What's up?
Oh, pretty. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So, if you haven't known already, we are brought to you by the lovely Voodoo Ranger IPA, B Corp certified and employee owned. Fantastic IPAs. They have two big, they're not distilleries, breweries. One in Colorado, the other one I can't remember. But they're great. Check them out if you love hops, if you love IPAs, if you like unapologetic beer that doesn't sort of taste like beer, like it definitely tastes like beer.
Yeah.
They got juicy ones, hazy ones, some stuff that's a little fruit forward, but they have a wide range of them. Check them out.
They got a lot of
Instagram
stuff.
and Twitter, hashtag live rangerously. And remember, in a world of boring and bullshit IPAs, Voodoo Ranger comes in and saves the day. Check them out. Follow them. I Stay tuned. Yeah, thank you. Stay tuned on our Twitter and maybe not our Instagram, probably just our Twitter. We're going to try to get some download codes. Last winter, we got some Drizzly codes to give you like $15 an order. And if we do more of that, I think we'll get some more traction, get
Nice.
more people drinking that Voodoo Ranger IPA, right?
Of course.
Okay, this
It's
is
good
squeezing
stuff.
my head. Hold on.
Mhm. What's that on your sweatshirt? Is that a deer? Sick.
Nice.
That's my childhood right there. Everybody had that picture, like the velvet deer picture in their house or
know.
whatever.
Yep.
Tiger
much
or
as-
whatever.
As if I wasn't enough of a hipster, right? I have like, oh, you have a classic airbrush animal on a
Mhm.
sweatshirt. Jesus. What else, Derek?
That was like every third living room you went into as a kid had something like that on the wall.
I know, but did you have that auntie with the plastic on the couch?
Yes, that was my grandparents.
That's our generation, baby. These
Yep.
Zoomers don't know.
No,
Their
who
parents
else,
never did that.
who else had the relatives with the big wooden spoon or the wooden knife or
Buddy.
fork on the wall? You know what I'm saying?
Filipino
Yup.
moms, it's a fork and knife.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
No,
That
we're
said,
high class
speaking of-
now. We're a high class now. We got copper on the wall now. The copper spoon.
Yeah, but speaking of good times, we're going to talk about the glorious G4 TV. All right, everybody, wait. A drink.
Yeah. The drink for G4.
A drink for G4 and to Olivia Munn.
Or what's
She's
left
not
of her.
the only reason I watched it, but you better believe she was definitely one of the reasons I did.
I'll keep this brief because it's been talked about enough online. But G4, most of us remember the used to be Tech TV, and then they migrated to G4. They had some really good glory years in there from about 2004 to about 2007 or so, 2008. Well, they came back, and times have changed. There's a billion people on YouTube doing what they used to do, maybe a little bit
they
better.
had a relaunch.
Yes, they did have a
Yeah.
relaunch.
Because
I don't know
they
if we
died once before.
Yes, and they're on their way out again. Well, basically, I'll make it quick. I'll do a recap because I think we spoke right before our hiatus how they had one of their hosts, Frost Curran. You may know her if you've ever followed League of Legends esports coverage. She's been doing that for a while. Well, she was one of the hosts on there, and she had this whole rant about sexism in gaming, which not bad. Go ahead,
Yeah,
go right ahead.
Indiana Frost Curran Black. She
Yes.
was the host of Boosted and X Play.
Yes, Boosted is now canceled. It is. They canceled the show. Well, she went on this whole rant. A lot of what she was saying was valid stuff, and nobody's gonna argue that. You go ahead and say it because it's true. But the way it was all presented and stuff, it's 2022. I think at this point we kind of know when brands kind of do this type of thing and pretty much tell their customers if you don't like it, you don't buy it type thing. That kind of blew up in their face, and the one of the VPs, Blair Herder, who was an original cast member from the show way back in like 2004 2005, and he was also producer back then as well. They brought him on, and he kind of doubled down on the same thing. Well, fast forward 2 months, and just recently, a week ago, they changed G4 to XPlay on YouTube, and they changed XPlay to YouTube because the G4 algorithm is totally trashed and they're not getting anything. And they have 400,000 subs, but their videos get about 5,000 to 6,000 views. Like that's not good. They get much higher stuff on Twitch, but YouTube's pretty much done. So they rebranded their main channel, made their off channel their main channel, their main channel their off channel. Blair Herder, this was like maybe 4 days ago now. This is like last Thursday or last Friday, at the time of this recording. He up and tweeted, "Hey, it's been great. Goodbye G4 in America. Hello Team Liquid in the Netherlands." So he picked up a job at their competitor, Team Liquid, who actually also has their own esports coverage and stuff, and moved out of the country. So everybody's like, okay. And then the same day, Frost Curran was like, "Hey, check out my new esports coverage show that I'm doing with these guys, not G4, also competitors of G4." So both of them are gone in a day. Well, not gone, but both tweeted out the
Announced their departure.
yes, and like new projects and stuff that day. And before that, she had tweeted some other cryptic stuff that was kind of odd, and people were like, what is she talking about?" So that's where G4 is at right now. That's the state of things. They're pretty much a corpse walking. They came back just in time to die within 6 months. So
So
GG.
just everybody, if you're wearing, if you feel like giving peace to people that have passed us. Just some notable people that we're saying goodbye to. Obviously, the previously mentioned Olivia Munn, Kevin Pereira,
or what's left of him in Olivia Munn.
yeah. Adam Sessler,
Oh,
Layla Kaylee. Oh,
Yeah.
what?
don't
And
get me
then-
started on Adam Sessler either. He's a real piece of work as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. One of my biggest crushes, Jessica Chobot. Oh man.
That's who Blair Herder is married to.
Oh my God. I was in love with her. I'm like, I don't care what's coming out of her face.
Blair Herder and Jessica Chobot have been
Wow,
married for like
Layla
15
Kaylee
years.
is a tiny human. She's a little thing.
Yeah.
Morgan Webb.
Yes. That's the one who Frost Curran said, I'm sorry if I'm not as fappable as Olivia Munn or Morgan Webb. I'm sorry, you guys. So, yeah.
Because she was an OG. She was a Tech TV one. But
Yeah.
to all of them, they
She-
were
she-
doing.
She was the original one.
They were laying down the work, and if they were 10 years younger and were
Oh.
around in this world of Twitch and YouTube,
I
holy
forgot.
crap, they'd
I
be invincible.
Loud and Brown, I forgot a major thing that happened. This was also last week. So after the whole rant last week, they have another show on G4. Guess who pops out of a ball pit in a bikini?
Who?
Amaranth.
Whoa.
What, really?
After Froskin went on the whole rant about ladies aren't here to be easy on the eyes for you. I'm sorry, I'm not as fappable as Olivia Munn. 2 months later, here's Amaranth in a bikini popping out of a ball pit on the same channel. So that's what kind of rekindled everything, and then it all led into this. So yeah, I forgot about that. That's a major detail.
That is. Well,
Mhm.
RIP. Now and then, unrelated, I'll keep this under 30 seconds, mark the time, and stop me when I get over. Beyond the Bot is now officially off the air. They were part of Get It Into the Bot or Get Out of the Bot. They were an online anime review series that had a lot of POC and queer journalists, and they finally didn't have the funding to continue, and they just they closed their doors last week, and that's real sad.
That is
They
sad.
did some gaming, not much, but it was really good to see people that look like me. Like, Russ understands that Blurds is a very, very special part of this culture. So much of what our parents' generation expects of black kids is to be tough and play sports and eat beef. And when your kid is a little soft, cries at rom-coms and plays JRPGs, they get outcasted. And Beyond the Bot was like that spot where I could just see people and be like, look at this. It's freaking great. And they didn't make it. Quarantine was a little rough. And hopefully, independently, we will see them soon. Thank you, RIP, to Beyond the Bot and to G4. And now we're moving on to the crazy Derek topics. You ready for this? From Loud and Brown topics?
Let's go.
You ready for me to alienate everything? All right. Moving on. Yo, London with a Y. We're going to row 9 to the crazy. And I wish to Satan that freaking Goon was here to see this. But Guilty Gear, that's been around, remember, since 99, maybe 2001. One of their classic characters finally got called back into the current one. And Testament is back, baby! And just to piss off all the neckbeards, you better believe Testament is non-binary and female presenting. And the storyline totally commits to the transition of the character. It's freaking great. And even the moves they changed to the story and lore of the character are so dope. And the comment section is full of fragile assholes that don't really understand Guilty Gear. We're talking about a game that had a trans character, Bridget, from the jump. Like at the beginning, unapologetic. Also, as far as diversity goes, Venom was black for no reason. He wasn't African American. He was just dark skinned because Daisuke, the lead designer, said, I want the characters to be more diverse and look cool and different. So we had a white-haired, dark-skinned billiards player as a character.
That sounds like my bounty hunter from the Old Republic. She's dark skin with white hair.
You don't need a reason. And everybody was like, why did you change Testament? And even from the original designs of Testament, if you look at the old games, they were always androgynous. Long hair. So a lot of it was lost in translation, but the way the character talked in Japanese was it wasn't effeminate, but it was definitely not masculine. It was right there where you're like, what's
Right
this
on the
character's
line.
situation? And now with this, and also you got to remember, this is a heavy metal tribute game. And if you know metal bands, and if you know the German band Halloween, this character design should make all the sense to you. And if you don't know who Halloween is, then you're not allowed to complain about the way Testament looks right now. Eat shit. Fuck you. This game's not for you. Go play, I don't know, Mortal Kombat.
Now you sound like G4.
Yeah, exactly. But
you see sitting there mentioning Goon though. He was on Twitter last night ranting the hell out about this, saying exactly what you're saying right now, basically. He was all over this last night and just eating up all the salty assholes all over the internet.
Well, you got to remember, Goon is a little younger than us, and he has way more queer and non-binary and gender fluid friends than I do. I don't know about you two.
That's not it. I don't think.
But he just gets it.
I think it's the timing of the whole thing, and you've seen a lot of Japanese developers with pushback from trying to have like whatever the trend is now, or whatever the thing is. It would depend too. Like what was this announcement? Was that the first thing that they said about the character? Was that the first thing that was? Because I didn't see.
So this is an existing character. This character's over a decade old.
Okay, so been in previous ones before.
Yeah.
And just basically been this character.
The gender of Testament has never been defined. Okay. But if you look back in old interviews, the original developer said, "Oh, this character's always been androgynous," and there is a native Japanese word for asexuality. Okay. And I don't remember what the word is, but
yeah. And at this point, I mean, it's more or less like an anime fighter, right? And like anime has that trope in it where there's usually some androgynous
character. Japan has that. East Asia has more of an understanding of intersex, and it's just a lot of people that want to be mad at something for no reason.
Where was all the complaining happening? Was this Twitter?
You'll have to ask Goon, but it's probably Twitter. Yes.
Twitter, YouTube comments, the usual.
The two worst places.
The usual cesspools of the internet.
Okay. And once again, you got to understand that Bridget existed in Exerd.
I believe in the first game, I believe.
Yeah, and Bridget has always been a trans character.
Yeah.
And you got to also understand that Street Fighter V never backpedaled on Poison. Poison is a trans character.
Poison's from Final Fight originally, though, right?
And they were always trans.
Final Fight is technically in the Street Fighter universe, though.
Yes. Final Fight was supposed to be Street Fighter 2, and when they delivered that to America, they were like, that's not the game we asked for. We want a 1v1 fighting game. And they go, fine, here's Street Fighter 2. And they made Final Fight a side-scroller beat 'em up. But Poison was always a trans character. You could look at it at the character design screens. And when it came to America the first time, they ignored it and made Poison a woman. But as of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, Poison has been a trans character. And there was some pushback, but all the real people knew where they came from. And the fact that there's even pushback with Testament is absurd. It's not like we changed the gender of Ryu or Master Chief. Like, we're changing a character.
I get what Saverings was saying, though. It's basically like some companies have been doing this just to peddle to the audience versus actually being like true and honest and genuine.
Yeah.
Versus this game is true and honest and genuine, has been doing it since day one. Like,
they have.
How they've always been.
Yeah. So that was my thing, because I didn't see the announcement. Like, if that's what they came out with first, and then they're like, oh, and they're a fighting character. I could see some people being like that, but also you said the main pushback seems to be Twitter and YouTube, which is
dumb. And once again, to defend my sweet angels, Capcom. Remember, in Japan, Poison has always been a trans character. It was the American translation company
Yeah.
that refused to mention that.
Yeah.
But Japan
Which is normal
Capcom
for
has
the
always
States.
been
Yeah.
trans positive. So
Yep.
I'm just saying, Guilty Gear, go get it. Fucking dope. They technically got beat by their own people. Arc System Works had a Grand Blue Versus character who is a tank with a beard that identifies as a woman. And it is, you know, the gender is up for debate, and that did predate this launch of this character. But I'm just happy we're having these conversations and people are being good. I'm happy that the character announcement used non-binary pronouns, and that is becoming more of a norm. And I'm into that. And
Yep.
the people that are complaining, this is not a story-driven kind of fighting game. Play whoever you want, the kind of style character you play, do it. It's not, you're not playing The Last of Us. You're not playing Halo. You're playing a fighting game, and yes, you can enjoy the story of a fighting game. But that's not, you know, that's not ultimately.
Wait, hold on. What about Street Fighter 5 that didn't launch with the story? Like, I'm just.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this again.
I'm teasing you.
Who's trying to call me? Okay. All right, we got some more topics with Loud and Brown. All right, this is a quick one, London. Really fast. We're going to original Tekken art. This is the most bananas news I found this week. That's row 10. I don't know what is happening here. It's such bananas, but I think it's to build up hype because they haven't officially announced the news for Tekken 8, but it's in the works because Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5 launched pretty similar. They started launching all these old artworks for Tekken, and they're bananas. They're so weird. And you can go ahead and catch that link. We'll put it on our Twitter. I promise I'll remember later. And it's really funny to just see the how the sausage is made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Street Fighter's been pretty transparent about it. Guilty Gear is pretty secretive. You know, characters just launch out of nowhere. You go, okay, you got a guy with a coffin. Were you going to talk to the community about this at all? This is nuts. But look at that. It's London. If you want to click any of those other pictures, we could see just the frame of mind of the Tekken team of how they create characters. And it's bananas. And the same thing goes for Street Fighter. If you look at some of the old sketches, the original Dhalsim had an elephant trunk. It was crazy. And the original agent for Zangief was vodka. And it's, when you see the early sketches of any of these games, you know, I don't know if any of you follow any YouTubers, but there's a very famous movie analyzer named Movies with Mikey, and I cannot say more than anything how true this is. Nobody knows what they're doing. Like, on these early stages of fighting games in, 91, 93, nobody knows what the, look at this. Look at these middle school sketches.
I was gonna say, yeah, this looks like.
Have you seen the original Street Fighter sketches? It looks like this. It looks like people that don't really know what they're doing.
No,
because
so here's
this was,
the thing, though. Here's the thing,
video games weren't a cash cow back then. They were not.
So somebody I recently started following was the lead artist for a lot of the early Rare games.
Oh, shit.
He's been sharing his artwork because he's the one who came up with the artwork for Donkey Kong Country.
Oh,
and the concept art.
Thank you, London.
The concept art for translating Donkey Kong from like one game to the next, because before that he was just a guy throwing barrels at Mario, right? Mm-hmm. And having to create him as a main character. Oh God, they're literally just pencil sketches that or look like you do in 5 minutes, not even like shading or anything.
But was that Mario though, or was that Jumpman? And then Jumpman and Pauline's son is Mario.
Ooh.
And the original Donkey Kong is really Cranky Kong because he's
older. We're talking about Cranky Kong now, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the original.
Crap, I can't remember the guy's name. He's on Twitter though. He keeps sharing all the artwork from a lot of his early stuff. So that's same kind of stuff as this.
Nice,
real cool.
Well, we're on that point where I want our final statements, and of course, it's gonna be really fun. Row 11, there, London. Our final statements are gonna be about Overwatch 2 and the future of online shooters as a whole. And I will start. And you heard me saying this at maybe minute 20. I'm ready to jump back on the bandwagon when Kotick gets kicked out. I know this is me being a stubborn hipster, but I did the same thing with banks. I do the same thing with clothing. I do the same thing with music. And I know it's only $1 here and there, and my voice doesn't matter. But when there's 50,000 of us all resisting to spend money on something because we don't believe in it, that's when people start listening. And I can't give Bobby Kotick his paycheck. He's a piece of shit, and I don't want him to get a paycheck. So when he's out the door, I will support it.
Agreed.
And I know that sucks, but I know a lot of the people working there at Overwatch get it.
Yeah.
And I know they're waiting for him to be out the door.
Oh yeah, dude, they had a walkout.
Exactly. And I don't want to support something that doesn't completely axe him and get him out there. And I realize that the idea of CEOs is very difficult and contentious, and 1%ers are just running everything. But that also doesn't mean that I have to support it. I don't have an Amazon Prime account. I don't go to Walmart. Like I take my battles as I do them. And no one cares that I do this, but they don't get my $5 a month.
Yeah,
they don't get my $10 a month.
It
Every little bit is my little fight. So when he's out the door, Darkane, I will be the first one throwing nano grenades and healing you with everybody's favorite grandma, one of the best FPS healers in the world.
But you play console though.
What?
But you play
not
console.
anymore. I've been playing PC for during that last leg. I was all PC.
Yeah, he plays on PC now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got you
My
converted.
score is terrible, and I have no skins, and I don't have enough money to buy the Havana skin, which is the best Anna skin ever. It's retired Anna. She has a little floppy hat, and she has, she has. I love it when they have skin specific voice lines, which that skin does. It's about her retiring. Oh my god. One of my favorite characters in FPS is Maniacs. That's where I am at Overwatch 2. I'm excited that the team has a future. I think Microsoft will do an okay job. I don't know if they're going to do a great job. I think they're going to do better than Kotick does.
Because there won't be people crawling underneath people's cubicles distracting you at work.
Exactly. So your Overwatch is a pretty good source of where I get my news for that. And they have insider knowledge on people that work at Activision Blizzard, knowing that they are now working hard without their fistcuffs. They were under pressure with Bobby Kotick to do exactly what you wanted Street Fighter to do. And it's like, show us the story mode first. Throw it out the door. We'll figure out multiplayer later. And that's what the team was forced to do for the last year. And finally, the new person in charge after the buyout said, we're going to give you multiplayer so you can play the game that you can watch on esports. And that's where the game is now. And the beta is going to be out at the end of April. They gave a date. And alphas are already out.
Okay.
Well, on that note, see, I wish Sage was here right now, because she and I have already played it 2 freaking years ago. 2.5 years ago at BlizzCon. We were already playing it.
The PvE, though.
No, it was PvP.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They had a PvP mode.
They did have PvP at that point.
That's true.
They had push. We got to play push already.
You got to play push.
Mode. Yep.
Yeah.
We already played the new game mode 2.5 freaking years ago.
Yep.
So they've had it available.
But in that time, they pulled off, I would guess, probably about 40% of that team to go work on Call of Duty. I'd probably say another big chunk of them aren't there anymore because they had a huge talent.
They all left. A bunch of people left for Valorant. That's for sure.
Including the game's director, Kaplan left. A bunch of people left. So
but Kaplan didn't want to work with Kotick. That's
what I'm saying. But he was the game director. When you lose your game director, then it's going to set you back a little bit.
That is. So, but that's my closing statement. I'm going to the grown-ass man. Notes on Overwatch and Blizzard Activision as a whole. Oh, by the way, you can follow me at Instagram, Twitter, Loud and Brown. I am Lucky Bandit. I'm Gross Stuff with a PH on PlayStation and Steam. Follow us, like, subscribe, share. Tell your friends. We're trying to make affiliate, you assholes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to sell 12 million copies like Elden Ring. Tell your friends.
All right. Save rings. ... Let's go, V dash.
Hi, you got the save rings. ... You can find me on Steam. You can also find me on YouTube at V-Gaming, Twitter at V-Gaming. That's my gaming related stuff. Everybody take care of yourselves out there. There's other sicknesses and things going around, things of that nature. Just be safe out there because it's kind of crazy. Enjoy your games. Try to be nice to each other. You don't have to be, but try to be nice to each other. And that's about it. That's all I got. Join our Steam group because we do have people over there. We do have a list of the games that our members play. So if you're ever looking for someone to play, just post on there and message people. And that's really all I got. I'll kick it down to Darkane here.
Yeah, and by the way, remember it's Activision Blizzard King. Can't leave out the Candy Crush players. Them Candy Crush players make bank, okay?
They do.
When are we gonna get a Candy Crush playable character in Overwatch?
I just want Microsoft to hand it off to whoever can make a good fighting game, and I want to see the Microsoft version of Smash because it's gonna have literally everybody and everything in it. So you'd have like Crash Bandicoot fighting Master Chief, fighting Doom Guy, fighting the dudes with the swords from not Dishonored, but what's that game? Where they stealth around with the swords. It's made by Arcane Studios. Dishonored, yeah. You have the Dishonored guys. You can have Spyro. You can have they got a ton of characters.
So how about this? How about this, Saverings? How about this, Saverings, ... It will do as well as PlayStation All-Stars.
No, it might do better depending on who they get to
I
make
think it'll do better. Microsoft has better marketing in that for something like that.
And it'll be on Game Pass.
We'll see. So Microsoft got way behind Killer Instinct, and that game is...
Dude, it's Killer Instinct. People who took
the game wasn't fun to play.
Yeah, whoever took that game seriously, like that's your first.
Hey, I got friends on the Xbox team that worked very hard on that game.
But I mean,
it only had one good thing, and that was one of the best damn soundtracks ever made.
Yeah, and it had like little catchy little combo-y combat. That's it. But if you're trying to take it more past that,
all right,
that's kind of
mark the time. This is March 21st. Savering says the Microsoft Super game is gonna work better than the PlayStation one.
Yes,
and maybe it will.
Yeah, because PlayStation's kind of tone deaf. PlayStation's kind of tone deaf sometimes. But that's a whole other podcast.
With Overwatch though, I'm.
Closing statements. Yep. Vince Rants, go.
I did sign up for the beta immediately. I will be playing it. I will be trying it out. I will have plenty of ranting for it. I'll get the game regardless. Kotick is going to be on his way out as soon as the acquisition closes. Mm-hmm. Remember, we still have to wait for that before Phil Spencer can kick that guy's ass. Yeah. And we know he's going to. Yeah. We know he's going to. He's pretty much already unofficially said he's going to.
And he will get out with a golden parachute, so just prepare
he'll still get his $200 million. It's in the contract, but that's the last he's going to get.
Piece of shit.
Exactly.
Nobody will argue that.
I have friends who work in Blizzard, though. Like Blizzard, specifically, not ABK, but Blizzard. And, like, I just want to keep trying to say, hey, I like what you're doing. Like, keep being awesome. Fuck the assholes at the top. You guys are awesome. So let's just keep doing what you do. And I'm going to keep, making sure that you at least have some positive in your life instead of people just constantly bitching about how bad the company is. Because it ain't the whole company. It's just the few at the top. And
it is. That's true. And I feel a little bad because I know, I follow Zoe Windshield, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And she's even put on social media like, hey, listen, I have NDAs where I'm not allowed to voice my opinion. And I just want to say that I support everybody that is voicing what they have in their hearts. But she physically can't take a stance because she's an employee of the company.
Not just that, but people have to realize that the words that they say affect even the lower end employees. So when you're trashing a game or trashing a company, what is that doing to the mental health of the people that make your games that you are
Oh,
playing?
this sounds like the VP lady who used to work for Homeland Defense, who they brought in as their VP, and she's like, "I've never seen any sexual harassment here," and when all that stuff was happening.
Okay,
So,
that
yeah.
was even more screwed up because remember, Kotick actually wrote the paper for her and made her
Yes.
sign it.
Yes.
So that came out after the fact, so that just made him look even worse.
Yep.
He brought her on just to throw her under the bus and get her out of the company.
And she already worked for Homeland Security, so
Yeah.
odds are you probably didn't like her anyway.
She was already a warmonger, you know,
Yeah.
so she's already a terrible human.
Yep.
And so, like, it's just doubly bad.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on Blizzard. That, you know, the high ups, kill them all. Like, just get rid of them. I don't care. But the low end employees, the ones that are busting their ass and have the passion and make the actual great games, still love them to death. Reach out to them to say, hey, we like you. Keep being awesome.
Cool. Well, as soon as they nerf Sigma, I'm all good with that because fuck that guy. I didn't like him as soon as he launched. I was like, you can't do all three of these things. This is bullshit. What? What a piece of garbage. Anyway, Maniacs, that has been our episode. Thank you for having us roll into March. Once again, we are brought to you by Voodoo Ranger IPA. Please check them out, especially if you love beverages. If you don't drink, we don't have a sponsor for that yet. We're going to work on it. We're going to deal with our producer, taking a double deucer. Big thanks to Keith the Boogie.
Yes.
Big thanks to Lauren, who supports us with that Voodoo Ranger, and also London with a Y, who is probably not even connected to the podcast anymore because she doesn't give a shit. She is on TikTok, 1,000%.
She's also on hiatus. Yeah, she's doing some challenge. Who knows?
The fucking worst.
You know,
Big
they wanted to
shout
hire
out-
me, by the way.
TikTok did.
TikTok wanted to hire me, and I turned them down.
Woo!
We'll discuss that another time.
What?
We will. If everybody can, follow Sage Bell's steaming schedule. She is Sage Bell, _model? God dang it, I don't know her
And on
tag.
that real quick, especially this weekend coming up, because both of us are going to PDX LAN, and she'll probably be streaming at PDX LAN. I forgot to mention that how much cool stuff's going to be happening this weekend down there.
Sage Bell and Darkane going to be at PDX LAN. Follow that. Also follow Bonus Round on Twitter.
Yep.
They will let you know all the fighting games going on. That's with Goon P&W. Big thanks to everybody. Did I forget anything? Oh, another shout out to Flay Artist for the intro video. And I think that's going to be it for this podcast.
Nice.
Shout out to yourself.
Shout out to me. I have been Loud and Brown, at Loud and Brown, Lucky Bandit. I already gave you my tangs. Remember, smoke trees, punch Nazis. Be well. Thank you. Ooh, good episode.
Mm-hmm.